OddGamer, Fairly OddGamer. It goes around when you're running kind of the Fairly OddGamer.
Thank you. Hello, Internet viewers. I'm the Fairly OddGamer. Let me take you back to your childhood when you had no homework and lots of free time. What would you do? Well, besides playing video games, what other toy would you play with? It could be Legos, it could be Barbie, it could be just about anything. But for me, it was Hot Wheels. Made by Mattel in 1968, it was made as competition for the popular toy series Matchbox until 1997 when Mattel bought the company that made Matchbox, Lesney Products. It was originally intended for children and young adults, but would later become popular to adult collectors. I personally own 2 Hot Wheels sets, the Sky Jump in promotion for the Speed Racer live-action movie, and Octoblast. And at the height of its success, lots of video games were made based on the franchise, such as Hot Wheels on the Commodore 64, Turbo Racing on Nintendo 64, as well as multiple stunt track driver games. But the one Hot Wheels game that stood up to me the most was Hot Wheels Velocity X, or as it's known in Europe, Maximum Justice. Similar to Finding Nemo, Hot Wheels Velocity X was another game I first played for the GameCube, only it was much more fun to play. I love the design of the levels and how each car is replicated in the game to match the original designs. Not only that, but I also enjoy being able to perform stunts to earn points. But seeing that it has a story mode, I'm going to tackle that first before talking about the gameplay. So with that being said, let's begin. As the game boots up, we see that it was once again published by THQ, but developed by Beyond Games, and was one of the last games to be made as a company. We then get a boot up video, almost like a mini trailer.
Drive like you never imagined. Hot Wheels Velocity X.
Let's start with Adventure Mode, which is considered to be the story mode of the game. We start off in a hideout where we see Sigma from Mega Man X. Oh, so that's what he does when not fighting Mavericks. However, instead of flying to destroy X and Zero, he gathers up data on driver profiles, including the game's protagonist, Max Justice, a 17-year-old Class A stunt driver with the aid of his father, Dr. Peter Justice.
Justice.
So Sigma challenges Max to a race against some whacked-up guy named Nitro Burn.
Calculating outcomes. Projected advantage, Nitro Burn.
So we finally see Max, whose voice you might be familiar with.
Some kids play basketball after school. I have a reputation to defend.
Dude, you are one seriously crazed up Fruit Loop.
That's right, it's Danny Phantom from Danny Phantom. And here's a fun fact, this game came out in 2002, and that was 2 years before Danny Phantom got on the air. Anyway, Max gets an intercepting message and speeds his way back home.
I'm going ghost!
After seeing a snippet of the boot-up video, with a car literally flying by the foreground, Max makes his way back to the Hot Wheels building as he sees the place bombed and robbed. He then rescues Gearhead. And what is Gearhead, you may ask?
Gearhead is one of Dad's gizmos.
I see. Also, is it just me, or does this intro feel like a cold opening to a Danny Phantom episode?
Can't tell if he got away. I know one thing, though. Somebody's messing with the wrong family.
He's a phantom.
Anyway, we get a security breach message that the engineering plant has been intruded.
Blasted second-rate security system.
And it's up to Max to figure out who is behind the security breach.
If I run across any of those guys, I'll take them out on the way to Dad's lab.
After disabling some enemy cars, Max makes it to the engineering plant which then explodes. Meanwhile, Gearhead has detected another bomb, only now in the Hot Wheels tire factory.
This time, grab it and get rid of it before it goes off.
So Max grabs the bomb and drops it off at the abandoned building.
Don't worry, it's been scheduled for demolition anyway.
After the building explodes, we find that this simple break-in was actually a full-out robbery, which is far worse than expected. How worse exactly?
Video footage shows Conrad Nitro Burn and his gang planting that first bomb and then driving off with our cars. We also lost a bunch of computer disks referring to a Velocity X project and some prototype car your dad was working on.
Wow, that is terrible. It turns out that Nitro has the disc and offers Max to race them. For a price, of course.
Just mutter over some dough to cover your end of the bet, and the winner gets to keep the discs.
We finally see Dr. Justice, who made arrangements with the bank to supply the money for Nitro's bet, which later gets stolen by one of Nitro's henchmen. Max destroys the henchman, takes the money, and drives away with it. After sending the money to Nitro, Max manages to beat Nitro in the race. But there's one little problem though. Even though Nitro gave him the cash and the car,
I don't have the discs, on me. I was told to take them over to the refinery in Turbine Sands. Take it or leave it, I'm out of here.
You idiot! How could you do this?
so Gearhead tracks Nitro to a stun arena, and once again Max is off to find out who's behind this nonsense.
Well, okay. But every transistor in my body says
It's a trap!
Max disables some power pistons, those are the actual names by the way, and Dr. Justice tells his son Max about Velocity X and what these discs contain. Now instead of boring you through a long monologue, I will instead summarize this in one sentence. The discs contain a formula for super fuel, the stolen prototype car can turn invisible for short periods of time, which never happens, and it uses uranium as its power source. See? Simple as that. However, before getting the uranium, Max has to stop a train that leaves the area situated near an unstable rock formation. Who's the engineer? Dr. Eggman?
Son, shouldn't you save the train before chasing after me?
So Max stops the train by ramming toward the rocks and retrieves the uranium after destroying more power pistons. He then encounters Backroads Belcher, who looks like an obese hillbilly.
I told y'all you was gonna be roadkill. Now you's got something I want. Let's talk trade.
Or an obese redneck. He looks like someone that Jeff Foxworthy can make fun of.
Perhaps we agrees to a little driving challenge for it. Game of desert chicken in order.
If you've ever been accused of lying through your tooth, you might be a redneck.
Honestly, an easy target for ridicule. And the mission is set up like this. Bring the uranium to Belcher and beat Belcher back to the downtown area only to have his car destroyed.
Well, I guess that plan backfired, huh?
So Belcher brings up that Max's girlfriend, Sparky Hendricks, was wandering around Crankshaft Bay, probably getting into trouble.
I should have been a toaster. Well, look who's checking in. It's your girlfriend, Max.
Now I would call this scene chit-chat, but there's much more vital information throughout this conversation. Sparky tells Max that while driving around Crankshaft Bay, she found fragments of what is supposed to be a map. Anything else I need to know about them?
Well, the papers have names. Dr. Peter Justice and some other guy, a funny name. Otto von Diesel.
Of all the dumb luck, I think the girl is actually onto something.
You can say that again! It turns out that these fragments were left on the roller coaster in case Sparky got spotted. So Max gets the map fragments from the roller coaster, and yes, that is the roller coaster on the box art, as he protects Sparky from ongoing enemy cars. Actually, before we move on, let's talk about the hub worlds themselves. The areas look pretty amazing, and each area gets you in the mood to race or battle. Monument City gives you the feeling of driving around in a rural downtown city. Turbine Sands has a desert vibe in the Old West, and Crankshaft Bay looks like it's located in the heart of San Francisco. Seriously, every time you drive by the bridge, I expect to hear the theme of Full House.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV.
Now, where was I? Oh yes. Sparky makes her way back home safe and sound as Dr. Justice tells Max to receive a data disk while leaving the lab. But Max has to get it quickly because Otto managed to get the coordinates as well with the assistance of some robot named Metacog. The name Metacog is never mentioned in the game. I know it's because it's only seen in the game's credits. Just want to point that out. So Max retrieves the data disk and has to protect some random car from enemy cars. Apparently this random car, which is a maelstrom by the way, has a data cube with backup files for the Velocity X project. While Dr. Justice departs for a while, another baddie appears. Enter Fastlane for Scotty, a seductive woman with a glittery purple fetish. She challenges Max to race after disabling 2 enemy vehicles.
It looks like you've won.
Gearhead analyzes the fragments of the roller coaster and reveals to be a map of Burnout Glacier.
Looks like a meeting is gonna happen with a group of lowlifes, and Otto is with them.
Finally, we get to hear the backstory on who Otto von Diesel is and how this relates to the game itself. It turns out that Otto von Diesel was the Sigma lookalike I mentioned from the beginning of the game, but in actuality, he was a founding member of the Hot Wheels engineering team started by Max's father. They used to be partners and worked together on many different projects with advanced technology.
Until Otto was dismissed for bypassing safety procedures.
At the same time, Gearhead manages to hack into Otto's communication system and finds out what the next plan is.
Rocket's telemetry established. Targeting systems locked on Burnout Glacier. Encased volcano determined dormant. Determination of successful activation of volcano based on double rocket impact. Positive.
The name Burnout Glacier in terms of level design speaks for itself. A majority of this world has ice and frost, but the main aspect is the volcano, which explains why this world is called Burnout Glacier. Anyway, Max follows Otto to the rockets, in which Max was able to disarm. And what was the reason for this?
Otto knows that volcanic gases are a necessary ingredient for the superfuel I was working on. He tried to force an eruption to capture those gases, but Max foiled that plan.
Apparently their next step is to take the gas collection canister used for other experiments. But another problem faces them, a creepy alien airhead named Simon Slick DeLuca.
You've become quite the pest here, Max Justice. Quite the pest.
But Max is willing to wager the gas canister for a way to Otto's hideout, and willingly agrees to the bet. Max drives to the volcano, which looks incredible by the way, retrieves the gas canister, and disables Slick in battle. And by stroke of luck, he finds a map to Otto's hideout. Meanwhile, Gearhead was able to analyze the data cube and tells Dr. Justice the good news.
Doc, I finished analyzing the data cube. This data is unbelievable.
So what we gathered so far is that the prototype car contains excessive speeds and light warping properties of invisibility, which leads to one surprising conclusion.
You could use the new prototype car for time travel?
Great Scott!
I halted the research into this formula years ago because of the terrible risks associated with altering time.
What would Otto use it for?
Oh, I don't know, go back in time and change history?
My guess is that he wants revenge by eliminating our production of Hot Wheels cars.
Duh. However, Otto still needs the temporal transmission in order to complete his plan. Anyway, he comes across Dr. Wily, Rupert Jacoby. You know what, let's just call him Dr. Wily. So Dr. Wily challenges Max to race for the Velocity X formula as well as the temporal transmission.
Max, I have a bad feeling about this. Rupert was Otto's best driver.
Thanks, Obi-Wan. So Max retrieves the temporal transmission, destroys 4 power boxes, and manages to beat Rupert in the race. And how does Wily cope with his loss?
Ah, yes. Here are your discs. However, with the time you spent racing me, those two kind gents in your temporal transmission are probably just about at Otto's lair by now. Summary, Max? You lose. Oh, again. Please tell your dad goodbye for me.
Wow. Wow. I thought Nitro was the idiot, but this man, that is the most idiotic person I've ever seen in a video game. What was it that Knox said in '89 Batman?
What a dick.
That's the one. It turns out that Otto's gang is headed to Monument City's underworld, which turned out to be a sewage level. Pretty fitting for a final world. We see that Otto's gang is compiled with every person who Max has either raced against or disabled in the earlier levels. You might say it's a boss rush, but it's more of revisited enemies. Anyway, Max disables Otto's gang as Gearhead finishes the analysis of Slick's map to Otto's hideout, which happens to be heavily fortified. After all this, we finally meet our main antagonist, the Not Sigma himself, Otto Von Diesel. And he reinstates what we already know.
I will soon be going back in time, where I can finally erase you, your father, and all Hot Wheels cars from ever existing.
Whoa, that was weird. Deja vu.
However, it turns out that Otto made copies of the stolen files. Also, while Max was retrieving the data disk, Otto was constructing the time machine. And he ends with the cliche of every villain, maniacal laughter.
Thank you, Max. We really couldn't have done it without you.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh.
So it looks like it's up to Max to destroy Otto's hideout, and Otto, once and for all.
We'll be waiting here for you.
Good luck.
Max disables Rupert for the final time, retrieves his so-called
fully charged gadget,
and destroys Otto's base. Otto begins to drive away while Max chases him. With a few blasts to the gadget, Otto is destroyed along with the prototype car.
Goodbye forever, Max.
Surprisingly enough, everything has returned to normal, with Dr. Justice continuing his research and Max returning to race in the prototype car with Sparky by his side. Unfortunately, Otto broke out of jail. But Gearhead interrupts Max to get the car back for analysis.
When we said to take it for a test drive, we didn't mean you should go racing around all of Monument City.
Don't you mean Crankshaft Bay? Whatever. Max's race begins and performs a few stunts that you probably wouldn't do in the game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the story mode of Hot Wheels Velocity X, showing in theaters while listening to the Hungarian Rhapsody. Now that the story's out of the way, let's move on to the gameplay. You always start by choosing a vehicle as well as a weapon. How you unlock more cars and weapons? Well, more on that later. You move by holding the acceleration button and drive with the control stick. You can even perform stunts by driving into a ramp and moving the control stick around. Every time you successfully land a stunt, you earn stunt points. You can even perform somersaults by pressing the L and R buttons. If you combine those with the control stick, you can pull off some of the most amazing stunts in a Hot Wheels car. You activate a weapon by pressing the Y button and can even switch weapons with the Z button. You can even charge up your weapon by earning stunt points or collecting these stunt point molecules. My biggest concern in regards to control is turning the car itself. Depending on what car you choose, the turning can be stiff at times. Tapping the brake button helps, but not by much. It's even worse when trying to weave through obstacles. Speaking of which, let's talk about the gameplay and adventure mode. You're given objectives to complete a mission and asked to follow the arrow shown on top of the screen to the desired destination. Sometimes your destination is shown by a green glowing light that shows what you're looking for or where you need to go. Sometimes your marker has you to pick up a certain item and carry it to another part of the area. My only problem is that while carrying the item, you can't use your weapon unless an enemy car rams into you. Here's an idea. Why not use your weapon while carrying your item? That at least would be easier to handle. Now let's talk about the problem with the obstacles I mentioned a moment ago. You have a time limit for each objective, and running into obstacles such as barrels and red clocks subtract your time. However, you gain time by driving by these green clocks. However, the worst obstacles in this game are these bombs from the underworld levels. I know Gearhead said that the hideout is heavily fortified, but I didn't know it was armed with explosives. If you drive into a bomb or even drive by its range, then the bomb explodes, costing a third of your armor. Oh, did I mention you have an armor meter on the right side of your screen? Think of it as a health meter. By the way, there is a weapon called Armor Repair. Activating it gets your car back to full armor. So heed my advice. If you want to complete the 2 underworld levels, especially the last mission, then choose Armor Repair as your main weapon. It can make things much easier for you. And want to know what the meter on the left determines? Your car's ability to boost. If you double tap the acceleration button, you can make your car boost for a period of time. And like your weapon, it can easily be recharged by gaining stunt points. Oh, and completing missions unlock cars and even new areas to explore. Speaking of unlocking stuff, let's move on to the challenge mode. You endure a total of 18 challenges consisting of arriving at the checkpoint, collecting gears, destroying crates, avoiding orange barrels, and even earning enough stunt points. Completing a challenge lets you unlock weapons, additional tracks, and even cars can be unlocked. Completing all challenges gets you a stunt driving license. And if you manage to complete the last challenge on the hardest difficulty, you unlock the laser upgrade. In actuality, it's the Quantum Annihilator from the last level in adventure mode. Now let's talk about the other modes. I'm not going to explain much about them because they're pretty much self-explanatory. In Drag Race, you race against other cars to the finish line, and Battle Mode has you disable other cars. But I'm not done yet. There's one more mode that I want to talk about, and it is by far my favorite mode in the entire game. So with that said, let's talk about the Joyride Mode. Joyride Mode lets you free roam around the area, and it's one of the only game modes that does not have a time limit. You can even unlock cars by finding a hidden key or collecting 10 hidden gears scattered around the area. So is Hot Wheels Velocity X still a good game? Well, even though the game received mixed reviews, I still think it's a... Come in!
Hey, Gamer!
Oh, hey, Hux, what's up?
Nothing much. Just got back from a surfing trip. I am a surfing dog, you know.
Really? I didn't know there was surfing here.
Well, there is.
Huh. Maybe I should look into that.
Yeah, you should. So, what you been up to lately?
Oh, I just finished Hot Wheels Velocity X.
Nice! And what'd you think of it?
Well, despite the game's reviews, I find this game underrated and underappreciated. It's still an enjoyable game despite its flaws. I love the aesthetics of the cars and driving world, and even the weapons are cool to use. The music in this game is amazing, and yes, I forgot to cover the music in the review, but there's still good tracks, especially the driving worlds. And while I don't play through the drag race or battle modes often, I still enjoy the Joyride mode because it lets you explore around the world and even discover some unfamiliar areas. So overall, Hot Wheels Velocity X is a pretty good game because not only its story, but also the variety of gameplay that makes it more special than other racing games.
Whoa. I might even think about playing it at some point.
Sure. Why not now?
I'd love to, but there is one thing I need to know.
Okay. What's that?
What are you going to do with those Hot Wheels boxes?
Oh.
Ah, come to think of it, after a long day of surfing, I feel like taking a nap.
Okay, you can nap on my bed if you like.
Aw, thanks, dude.
Well, with Hux napping, I guess I'll have to take down these boxes myself. Wait a minute! I have a better idea. I wish these boxes were back downstairs where they belong! Well, you can't say cleaning is easy unless you have a bit of magic by your side. I'm the Fairly Odd Gamer, and I wish you good luck for the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.